So, I want to talk today about what has occurred to me. You can believe me, you cannot believe me. I know it's true. Uh, on Friday, December 19th, while I was driving at about 5 o'clock, I legitimately heard the voice of God talk to me in my head. This is one of several times that this has occurred to me lately. And I'm not going to bury the lead here. I'll tell you, but I ask that you keep listening because there's a lot more. I'm going to tell you about the main one first, and then I'll tell you about how it lines up with everything else that the messages I've been receiving, and they're more than just messages, but I'll get into that. Um, so as I was driving, I started f- feeling like this feeling in the back of my neck, and I heard I heard if you would but just learn to coexist, I would give you my sight. This was God, source, spirit. I'm not talking about any particular religion. It felt like a multitude of different spirits all in one. And when it said, "I will give you my sight," I could feel it, and it that means more than you can possibly imagine. I felt the future. I felt it meant we will look into the eyes of our brothers and sisters with empathy and understanding because we see more. And in this kind of future, anything is possible. That's the message. At all religions, it doesn't matter. Believe what you want. Just learn to love your neighbor. It doesn't matter. We're all a part of this broader purpose. Um, so now here comes my backstory. Like I said, I wasn't going to bury the lead. That was the message I got. But I think you should listen to my history. I was extremely bullied as a youth, and I'm a disabled veteran now. So one of my problems is I suffer extreme depression. Um, I was suicidal. I've had a gun to my head before, um, and I'll get into more of that. But I want you to know my history. Um, I fought in Iraq. I fought in Afghanistan. I was exposed to toxic chemicals. All of that stuff. Um, anyway, let me get into some more of my history. It was it was around, I don't know. I was born in '77, so this is around '97, I think. I was about 20 years old. My sister was about 18 years old, and this was the first time that I had a dream of the future that occurred. Now, I lived at home, so I hadn't moved out yet. So did my sister of 18. She had a child at that time. Well, she still does. But I mean, he was 18 months around there, and so I had a dream that my sister moved into the house next door. There was an apartment next door. Now she didn't talk to anybody about her plans, and a week later she moved out. She moved into a house about a city block away. That was the first dream of the future that I had, and the next one was an immense knowing. It's not quite a dream. It was just an immense knowing that something bad was about to happen to our country. and I needed to be there to fight for my country. Um, and then around that time, I had a dream. In the dream, I was ascending a mountain. I was in cold weather gear or whatever. I don't remember what I was wearing, but it was just clothing. And it was snow was hitting me in the face. And as I ascended the mountain, um, I hear or I see in front of me a wooden hovel, like 10 foot by 10 foot square. Thing is falling apart, cracks between each wood beam, and then I'm looking, and it's just dark on the. There's no door. There's a doorway, but no door, and it's just dark. It's like kind of like light emanates. Well, dark was there, and then all of a sudden I hear a great booming voice that I can only describe as the voice of God. And the voice told me, it said, go inside, or Satan is in there. Go in and fight him. And I'm like, what? And all of a sudden, I'm not in clothing anymore. I have been given St. Michael's armor. And it gleams with a brilliance that I cannot explain. It just gleamed, and I had a sword. I pull it out. It's gleaming like you would not believe, and I realized I have the armor of God. He's told me to go inside, and I'm scared. I am so scared, and I said, "You told me to. I'll do it." So I walked in, as scared as I was, and it's barren inside. It's just dark with lights coming in, sunlight coming in from the cracks between the boards, and then all of a sudden I feel it. There's an evil. It's up in the corner in the ceiling, but nobody's there. It struck me. No body is there. So I pull out my sword and I aim it, and I tell this evil presence, I say, "You're too afraid to fight me as a human." And I'm holding out the sword. And then I wake up.
Satan is in there. Go in and fight him.
You're too afraid to fight me as a human.
And I realized I passed this test. And I would later realize what this was about, because I joined the military. My first day of basic training was July 12th, 2001. 2 months later, we all know what happened. And I knew what it was. I pulled out that sword of truth. And, that's what Satan's most scared of. And I'm not even saying there is a real Satan, but that's what the dark part of us. It's the truth. The truth brings the light. And I realize that there. Anyway, so I go and I deploy. My enlistment is from '01 till '08, and I deploy 3 times, twice to Afghanistan, once to Iraq. So I did my part there. I was a helicopter mechanic. Anyway, that was another experience I had with a dream or a feeling about the future. The next one was around 2003, 2004. I had 2 friends that both had, Tom and Patrick, they had white trucks. And Tom had a white Chevy, an '03 Silverado. Patrick had a white '97 Ford. Well, I had a dream that Patrick's truck was stolen. So I go to Patrick, I say, sometimes I dream about the future, and that's what I felt in a dream, that your truck is going to get stolen. So I think you need to watch out for it. And Patrick just kind of brushed it off, whatever. He didn't believe me. Well, excuse me. Still suffering the residue of walking pneumonia. So, yeah, a month later, Tom's truck, not Patrick's, Tom's got stolen. They stole it for his stereo equipment. And yet again, something I dreamed came to fruition. There's been multiple dreams that have come to fruition. And probably one of the most poignant ones was, like I said, I got out of the military in '08, and I was going back home to Cedar Rapids, Iowa, and this was, I drive back home in June, but in May, I had a dream, and in my dream, I'm in my childhood home in Cedar Rapids, and I open the door, and what I see, I'm in my porch. I open the door and I look out, and what I see is just nothing but water everywhere, like a great flood. And then all of a sudden, there's a house that comes by. It's just floating by, and I look, and on the porch of this house is my cousin Jeremy. And then as I see it, he, the whole house sinks in front of my eyes. It sinks in front of my eyes. And then, and I wake up. A month later, it's June, and I'm driving home. And on my way home, this is June 12th, I believe. On my way home, I get a call from my cousin Jeremy, the same Jeremy. And what he tells me is Iowa, especially Cedar Rapids, is flooding. And it's awful. And then I get home and I see bunched up against the railroad bridge a bunch of houseboats half sunk. My God, my dream was real. I've had way more dreams. Here recently, I dreamt about snow. My girlfriend Jennifer, she keeps telling me, it's going to be Snowmageddon this year, and I'm always like, whatever. But then I dreamt about it, and I'm like, my God, you're right. But this is before the first flake of snow fell. I said, I think it's going to be bad. And then over this past month, we have been inundated, feet upon feet of snow here. It's crazy. It's one of the worst snowfall. Anyway, it's still happening. I still get these dreams. So here as of late, I have started to get, all I can say is like impressions of the future, messages. I don't know. I dreamt, I was awake. It was more like a daydream that came upon me. I can't even explain it. But in this vision, dream, whatever, I see Ukrainian soldiers, and what is happening is they're driving Russian troops back into Russia. And then it happens, they break the line. Russia is pushed out. And then I hear the cheers in Kyiv and all the other cities in Ukraine. They stand up with joy in their heart. Not only do I hear it, I feel it. It's like I'm inside of them, and it's overwhelming joy and laughter and happiness, and just, I think Ukraine is going to win at some point, and this is going to happen. And then a voice, and it was more than just a voice, it was kind of a knowing, says, it all gets better after this. So that's the turning point. And I got the image of like binary stars, twin events. Something drastic happens to either numerous worldwide governments, but it includes America. Something drastic happens and it changes. And this could be, the removal of Trump. I don't know. But something drastic happens in America at the same time that it's happening or shortly before, or shortly after. Twin events, and it changes the world. I'm telling you, I could feel the cheers and the joy. And it's a message of hope, and I'm going to believe it. And back to my message that I started with. I told you, I said, God told me, he said, or it said, it wasn't a he, it was multitude, it was many. I think we're all part of God, and we're a different expression, and I think together, anyway. So it was just this voice, this knowing that said, if you but learn to coexist, I will give you my sight. And as the word sight came in, I could see into the future. I could see brotherhood and love, and I could see a completely different world. I think I'm supposed to tell people. I'm supposed to tell people this is what I heard. And I'm supposed to give people hope. And I want you to listen to me. I want you to spread this message. And I want you to know I'm 100% not lying. And if I get more messages, it's been happening a lot lately. I feel like I'm going through some kind of awakening. And let me get back to my depression actually before I finish this video. I was entering a period of extreme despair and emptiness and hurt and sadness that it was like a chunk of me was gone, completely overwhelming. I don't give a shit if I die. In fact, please take me. I would pray this over and over. And just to give kind of a personal story, you see, I have attention deficit disorder, so I have a hard time keeping up with conversations. So I was never able to come back with a quick comeback. Sorry, pneumonia. Anyway, I was never able to come back with a quick. I'm gonna pause this. Hold on. Okay. So, as I was saying, I was bullied extremely, and this is I was never able to come back quickly because of my attention deficit disorder. So I was the butt of everybody's joke, and I grew extremely depressed. And then I don't know what it was, but it used to be back in those days. This is around 5th grade. I would get sick every time they played something to do with the internal workings of the body. Something about seeing blood flow made me sick, and I can't explain it. It doesn't do that to me now, obviously, but in 5th grade, it just welled up inside. Now imagine being the butt of everybody's joke, and then it's the day that they start sex ed education, and one of the things they do is to bring out a film about the inner workings of the human body, blood flow and all that. So I'm getting wheezy, or not wheezy, but like anxiety ridden, and I start blacking out from it. I'm like, oh my God. So I get up, I'm in 5th grade. I get up, I walk up to Mr. Sheely, our teacher, and I'm like, trying to tell him, I gotta see the nurse, but before I can even get the words out, I faint. He scoops me up, brings me to the nurse's office, and all of the sudden, to the entire school, I become the boy who fainted when he saw a pair of tits. That's the words I remember. I'm like, oh my God. And it just got worse from there. And I had one friend. His name was Clint. And Clint, he must have been embarrassed because, after my birthday, I get a toy helicopter and I bring it over there. And this was shortly after having fainted. And I wanted to show him a new toy because we didn't have a car. We didn't have a phone. We were so poor. This was the 80s. And we were so poor. And I was so proud of this helicopter. So I bring it over. He's with two of his friends from the neighborhood. He must have been embarrassed to see me, so he shoves me down. Or no, he takes the helicopter out of my hand, sticks a missile up his butt and wiggles it around and makes fun of me for having a toy helicopter. And I'm like, okay. So I decide to leave. And as I'm leaving, he hadn't had enough yet. So he decided, well, shoved me down onto the alleyway while his two friends cheered. He was a lot stronger than I was. He always was. And so he held me down. He spit in my mouth. That was the first time I ever considered suicide. And I didn't have friends. I didn't have nothing back then. And it just got worse. They would shove me down concrete stairs because it was fun. I mean, I can't even, a part of it had to do with my birthmark. I'm different. And then I'm not quick-witted. And anyway, this is a beast I've been fighting. This depression, I've been fighting this beast for decades. And there's never been, and it just got worse in 2022 when I was having relationship problems. And my father, passed away in 2017. Had relationship problems, and I had already gone through a divorce. And I thought I was losing my girlfriend, and I was so because I love her with all of my heart, and I was so intensely sad. I put a gun to my head, and it was only because I called the VA hotline that I'm still here today. I've been through a hell of a lot. I've been exposed to toxic chemicals. Anyway, yeah, that burn pits. I was exposed to burn pits. So yeah, I know I'm getting extremely honest and open about stuff to the public that I probably shouldn't, but I don't care. I want you to hear my message, because part of my awakening, I was given a gift. And you know what that gift was? It was the gift of sight. You remember how I said, if you but only learn to coexist, I will give you my sight. It was that kind of sight. And what I saw was, I was my higher self, and I was looking down at myself, and I saw the depression, and it wasn't just a feeling, it was a monster inside of the pit of my stomach. I saw it, and I realized, I don't have to put up with you. And so I take a look at my depression, and I say, go away. And then all of the sudden, this wave of tingles comes from the top of my head down through my body, and it exits through my stomach. Cold chills, but not bad chills, like when you have like some kind of gum that gives you kind of a, anyway, it's just, but it was way more intense. I could feel it leaving it, and I felt like $1,000,000. And I'm telling you, this is what I'm talking about. If you but only learn to coexist. I want you to think about it for a moment. What if we come here and we choose, I'm going to live a life as a Christian this time. Next time, I'm going to be a Jew. What if there is reincarnation? What if we come here for this role because we need to learn? And so here we are learning. Why would we not coexist? Because next time we may be the very group of people that we hate so much. It doesn't matter what religion you are. I grew up Christian. Just because I have some newfound beliefs doesn't mean I still don't believe in Christ. Okay, hold on to your beliefs. You came down here to have your beliefs. All I am saying is coexist and love your neighbor. It's really that simple. That was the message. Coexist. And if we do, that Star Trek future where we're out in space learning and cooperating with entities across the galaxy, that but more so we will feel what our brothers and sisters are feeling. We will know and we will care and we will love. And it is a bright future, but we have to get over this hump that's going on right now. But I'm telling you, this is what I saw. I'm putting this message out there, and I'm going to add in some videos. You can use AI to create some videos, and so I'm going to be adding in those scenes. By now, you've already, if you're watching this video, they obviously played, but I'm coming up with that idea. I'm like, I want to really present the things I saw. Anyway, all of you have my love, and that's what it's going to take. And yeah, that's the message I received.